Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyah. Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyah. नीळातुङ्गस्तनगिरितटे सुप्तमुद्बोध्य कृष्णं पारार्ध्यं स्वं श्रुतिशतशिरःसिद्धमध्यापयन्ती स्वोच्छिष्ठायां सृजनिगडितं या बलात्कृत्य भुङ्क्ते गोदा तस्यै नम इदमिदं भूय एवास्तु भूयः வையத்து வாழ் வீர்காள் நாமும் நம்பாவைக்கு செய்யும் கிரிசைகள் கேளீரோ பார்க்கடலுள் பையத்துயின்ற பரமன் அடிப்பாடி நெய்யுண்ணோம் பாலுண்ணோம் நாட்காலே நீராடி மையட்டெழுதோம் மலரிட்டு நாம் மொழியோம் செய்யாதன செய்யோம் தீக்கரளை சென்றோதோம் ஐயமும் பிச்சையும் ஆந்தனையும் கை காட்டி பொய்யுமாறெண்ணி உகந்தேலோரெம்பாவாய். Today we are going to discuss the second Pasuram from Thiruppavai. In the previous Pasuram, Margali Tingal, we have seen how Andal was inviting everybody to take shelter of an Acharya. She was trying to tell us the inner meaning of that Pasuram was that she was inviting everybody to take shelter of an Acharya and bathe in the Kalyana Gunas of Paramatma. Right? That is the bath that she was inviting everybody to. The vratam that she was inviting everybody to participate in was the vratam of obtaining the Lord. Vratam of attaining the Lord. In today's Pasuram, whenever there is any vratam that is performed, there are certain do's and don'ts that need to be practiced. So in today's Pasuram, Andal is going to focus on the do's and don'ts of practicing this particular vratam of attaining God. In general, before we do any activity, we should be aware of three things, right? What is the first thing that we should be aware of? What is the benefit of doing the activity? This everybody should be clear, right? Anybody does anything only if they know what is the benefit they are going to get out of doing it. Otherwise, people won't be inclined to do anything, right? So we should know the benefit of doing a certain activity. That is the first thing we should know, right? That she told yesterday. Then what is the qualification for doing it? That also one should know. Because if one does not have the qualification, even if the benefit is good, then one shouldn't do it. Why? For instance, take the example of climbing the roof to clean the gutters, right? Not everybody is qualified to climb roofs. So even if the benefit associated with the activity is good, if one is not qualified to do it, one should not do it, right? So we should know our own eligibility for doing a certain activity. That is the second thing we should know. Third thing is what help is available for performing the activity. That also we should know. If someone is able to provide ropes and ladders and all kinds of equipment so that we can climb the roof and do it, maybe we can do it, right? So these are the three things we should know before doing any activity. What is the benefit of doing the activity? What is our qualification for doing it? And what is the help available for doing it? In this particular case, Andal said that the only qualification for performing this vratam is you should have a desire. You should have a desire to obtain Paramatma. That is the only qualification that is needed. Qualification is not material in any way. It is open to everybody. There is no restriction of a certain varna or ashrama. There is no restriction of a certain jati, that one should be a human being or an animal or a devata. There is no restriction of any kind. That one should be a male or a female or a child or an adult. We see Bhagavatas of all categories in scriptures, right? So there is no distinction anywhere found in the scripture, right? So there is no qualification that is material in nature. The only qualification is the individual jiva should have the desire to attain Paramatma. That is the only qualification. What is the benefit of doing it? One will experience the Parama Purushartha, the supreme Ananda that Paramatma is. That is what one will experience. What is the help available for doing it? Is this a task that one can accomplish on one's own effort? No, it is not a material task. Imagine how much money we need to purchase an object that is very expensive even in this world, right? So if you want to purchase a ticket to a very expensive destination like Hawaii or Mauritius or some place, the entire travel expenditure associated with something like that is 5 grand, 6 grand, 10 grand or something like that. If someone wants to purchase a platinum necklace or a diamond necklace or something like that, I don't know what the cost of that could be. 15 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand, whatever that might be. So the more expensive something is, the more valuable something is, one requires a lot of money to obtain it. Now, we are talking about a destination or a goal called moksham. This is the most expensive thing, Paramatma, right? How much can we actually have so that we can actually obtain that goal? Is there anything that we can have so that we can obtain that goal? There is nothing material that we can have by which we can obtain that goal. Any amount that we give is not sufficient to obtain that goal, right? So he himself has to become the means for obtaining him. This should be one thing that should be very clear. So the help available for doing this activity or this particular vratam is Paramatma himself. Therefore, the gopis, right? And Andal, in the mood of the gopis, she says, Narayanane namakke paraitaruvan. That Narayana himself is the means, right, for performing this vratam also. He has to help us in the process of obtaining our desired goal. So this she was clarifying. Now today she is going to focus on, she is giving some more details about that particular vratam, that what are the do's and don'ts that are needed for this particular vratam, right? So Vaiyatthu virgaal. First we will try to understand the external meaning of this Pasuram. When we say external meaning, as far as that particular vratam of obtaining rains, right? Ayurpadi or Brindavana was filled with drought, right? This particular vratam that was undertaken by the gopis at that time was so that rains could shower and again grass could grow in that particular region, right? That was the reason for this vratam. So now, as far as the external details are concerned, Vaiyatthu virgaal. So she is saying Vaiyatthu of this world, Val virgaal. That means people who are fortunate enough to take birth at this time. Namam nampavaik. We, for our vratam's sake, nampavaik means for our vratam's sake. Cheyyum kirisaigal keliro. What all things or what are austerities, what are deeds we perform, keliro. Please listen. Okay. Cheyyum means what all things we do, you please listen to them. Pal kadalul, that means on the milky ocean. Paya means gently, right? Tuindra, sleeping. Paraman adipadi. Supreme person's feet we will sing. This is one thing they are saying. Even for that vratam, they want to do this, right? That is an anga of that particular vratam they are doing to obtain rain. Okay. Paakadalul payattu endra paramanadipadi means they want to sing about the feet of the Supreme Person who is sleeping on the Milky Ocean. Very, very gently he is sleeping. Okay. This is the detail that she mentioned here. So this is the first thing that she is saying among the do's. Then among don'ts, she is saying a few things. Neyunnam, we will not eat ghee. Palunnam, we will not consume milk. Natkale neeradi. So these are some don'ts that she is saying. So one do that she said was singing about the feet of the Supreme Person who is sleeping gently on the Milky Ocean. Right? This is a do. Among the don'ts, she is listing. One is we will not consume ghee, we will not consume milk, and then natkale neeradi. We will wake up in the early hours, in the wee hours of the day, early hours of the morning, we will wake up and take bath. This is a do again. So far she said 2 do's and 2 don'ts. Next, mayetteludom. That means mai means the kajal or collyrium that is applied for the eyes. Okay. It edudom. That means we will not decorate our eyes with that collyrium. That's one thing she is saying. That means that's a not. Malar ittu naam mudiyom. We will not, circle our hair with the flowers. So flowers are generally put in a circular fashion in the hair, right? These girls actually do that. She's saying we will not do that. This is another don't. She's saying, Seyyadana Seyyom. Whatever our elders have not done, we will not do. This is one thing she's saying. Okay. Tikkaralai chenrodom. Any kind of gossip or criticism of others or untruth, bad thoughts or bad statements about others, we will not speak. This is another don't that she is saying. right? Tikkuralai chenrodum. We will not go around spreading that. Okay. Chenru means going to others. Odom means we won't tell like that. Ayyamum, Pichayum, Andanayum, Kaikati. That means Andanayum, liberally, Kaikati, we will give, we will offer. Ayyamum means alms. And Pichayum means again alms. What is the difference? Ayyamum means that which is given to those people who don't ask. They are in need of it, they deserve it, but they don't ask. They don't come and ask. These are usually people, who are Acharya Purushas, something like that in this world. Pichayu means generally Pichayu means this is Bhiksha. Bhiksha is given for brahmacharis and sannyasis in the Vedic culture. Right? These are people who come and ask. Sannyasis come and ask, brahmacharis also come and ask. So alms or charities that are given to both people who ask and people who don't ask. This is a do that she is mentioning. Uyyum or Henry Ugandu. That means please, they are contemplating on this way of sustaining themselves and happily, Elor, please consider Empavai or Vratam. So, reflecting on the way we are living and how we want to uplift ourselves, this is all. She gave a set of rules by which they want to conduct themselves and they want to uplift themselves and prepare themselves for moksha, right? Please consider this vratam of ours, is what she is saying. Now, this is as far as eligibility for that particular material vratam is concerned. Now, what we want to understand is the spiritual meaning behind each of these. Because externally, this is the vratam to obtain rain. Internally, this is the vratam to obtain the grace of God and attain Him. Right? So, what is the internal meaning of this particular vratam? Vaiyatthu virgaal. That means she is calling out to all the people who are fortunate enough to take birth in the world at that time when Krishna has taken birth. If you just imagine what kind of fortune that is, she is just meditating on it. It is very interesting. Andal herself was not present at the time when Krishna was present, right? She appeared much later. But she is completely in the mood of the gopis when she is singing out these songs. She is thinking as if she is participating in that vratam. She is along with those gopis, right? In that mode, she is reflecting and she is calling out to all the people who are fortunate enough to take birth in this world when Krishna was present. The first fortune is that they get to experience the Lord in person, right? That's a very different experience because Lord is right there and you get the opportunity to experience that person. This is very fortunate because this is a specific call out to people who were born in this Prakriti Mandala, in Bhulokam, in this particular place. Why? Their special benediction is that they get to experience qualities of the Lord that even people in Vaikuntham do not get to experience. What are those qualities? One of his qualities is Sausilium. Sausilium means the ability to mix even with very low people without showing any distinction. Mahataha mandai saha nirandhrena samsleshaha Sausilium. That means without showing any difference, a great person mixes with very common people. In Vaikuntham, this is not possible because everybody is equal to the Lord there in their opulence. Everybody is almost on the level of God. That is what liberation is. The Supreme Lord gives almost all the qualities that are on par with Him to the Jivatma. That is what liberation is, according to Shastra. So, really, everybody is in a certain sense equal. It's not like there's someone very low with whom he is mixing as if, there's no Sausilium, display of Sausilium in Vaikuntham. But that is possible here, right? Second, there he cannot serve anybody. Here he can serve people. He can serve his devotees, right? Here we see that Krishna has served Yashoda, Krishna has served Sandipanibuni, Krishna has served, different people, different devotees in different capacities. Yudhishthira, Arjuna, he became the charioteer of Arjuna. All of these are qualities that we get to experience in this world. These qualities are not possible in Vaikuntham in general. Because why? The jivas there are in full jnanam. So they cannot be covered by Maya. So therefore the jivas there will not agree. If Paramatma says that, he wants to become the charioteer of someone, generally, there is no agreement there. But Ideally, the jiva should become fully flexible in the hands of Paramatma in the state of moksha. If Paramatma wants to do something like that, jiva should allow the Paramatma to do whatever he wants to do, right? But in general, such experiences are rare. But here, those things are possible because jiva can be easily covered by Maya in this world. Qualities such as daya, kshama, vatsalya, all these cannot be exhibited in Vaikuntha, right? Daya means you have to show daya on someone who deserves it. There is nobody who is deserving of daya in Vaikuntha, right? Here we are so fallen that we all require compassion. Somebody should feel looking at us, ayyo, what kind of a person this person is. But there's nobody seeing whom we feel ayyo in Vaikuntha, right? So that's not possible. Kshama is not possible. There's no question of forgiving someone in Vaikuntham because nobody makes a mistake in Vaikuntham, right? This is a place where people are full of mistakes, so you need tons and tons of Shamagunam. Tolerance is required, forgiveness is required. Those qualities have no place in Vaikuntham. So all these qualities of Paramatma are always present. Whether Paramatma gets to exhibit those qualities or not, they are present with him. But you don't get to experience those qualities, those flavors that are present in him in Vaikuntha. But here is a wonderful place where you get to experience Paramatma in all his flavors of Paramatma can be experienced here, right? This is a great fortune that Andal is meditating upon. That what a fortune it is that we are present at a time when Paramatma is still here. And there is someone who is even more fortunate. Who is that? Among the people who were born on earth at that time, people who were born in Gokula were even more fortunate because they literally roamed around with Krishna all the time. What is such a fortune? This fortune was not even present for Devatas, right? Different Puranas describe that Devatas used to come in the form of, cows, crows, calves, so that they can also appear to be one of those animals or birds, and therefore they can experience Paramatma, right? Rudra, it is said, he became the flute of Paramatma. Indra, he became a crow, and one time he came so that he can experience Paramatma, right? In this way, different devatas want to experience Paramatma very closely and they have to take all other forms. But the people of Brindavana didn't have to do anything. They literally were there at that time. So, how fortunate they were to get that position, right? Similarly, even more fortunate among those who were present in Brindavana were people of Krishna's age, who were born with Krishna, who were peers of Krishna, because they got the most time with Krishna. Every other person, Krishna, he used to go out in the morning, he used to play when he used to be in the fields and everything, he used to come back late in the evening. But the most fortunate people were people who were peers of Krishna, who were of Krishna's age, where they could completely spend all time with him, right? Who were these most fortunate people? These people were people like the sages of Dandakaranya and so on, who had desired to take birth as Gopas and Gopis and all these people, right? So the fortune of these people is what Andal is meditating upon. So people who are fortunate to take birth, here she is saying she is throwing that invitation to all the people of the world, not that just people in Brindavana at that time, right? Vaiyatthu virgaal means everybody who is present in Prakriti, she is saying. But she is specially calling out the fortune of people who are born at that time, right? Another eligibility that she is calling out here for performing this vratam is obviously, animals cannot understand Thiruppavai Pasurams, right? Only human beings can understand these Pasurams, right? So here she is clearly saying, calling out the eligibility of obtaining a human life. Human life is so rare. Durlabham manasham janma. Labdva sudurlabham idam bahusambhavante. After many, 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 many life forms, finally one gets a human life form. It's not easy. Even by chance, it's not easy. By chance, out of 8,400,000 species, the probability of obtaining human life is only 1 out of 8,400,000. That is probability. But what is even more complex than probability is karma, right? Even if by chance one might get a human birth, the karma may not permit that person to get a human birth because the person's karma is like that. They have done all kinds of sins because of which they have to take birth in so many forms. So to get a human birth is very rare. Among that, to get a birth in Vrindavana is even more rare. Among that, to take birth as a peer of Krishna is the rarest fortune, which is what she is glorifying, right? Here also, what she's saying is that now that we have the ability in a human form, we have all obtained a human form, All we have to do in terms of qualification is develop a taste for Supreme Lord and desire that Supreme Lord. We have to follow the Acharyas. Then, although we are present in this world, we can eventually attain liberation. So that is the call out that she is making here. Vaiyatthu vaazh virgaal. நாமும் நம்பாவைக்கு செய்யும் கிரிசைகள் கேளீரோ. She is saying, we, for our vratam, what are the kinds of activities that we are doing? You please listen, she is saying. Okay? What is that special emphasis on we? Namum. Right? She is saying, we. What kind of we? One requirement here is that the we, people who are to participate in this particular vratam, they should have faith in Shastras. They should have faith in Acharyas. Right? That is a fundamental requirement. If one does not have faith in scripture, nothing can be done because everything is whimsical at that point, right? So faith in Acharyas is a very fundamental requirement one should have. And faith in Acharyas is another requirement, right? Because Acharyas are the people who teach from Shastra. They will not make whimsical statements, right? Anything that they say, it has to be based on Shastra, right? So that is the faith one must have while following this path. The second thing is, what kind of we? One other quality is required, that it's not that we are people who believe that it is our effort that is going to give the result. We are people who have full faith that Paramatma is the person who takes us along this path. That means the entire bharam of delivering us is on Paramatma. It's not on us. It's not 50-50 effort, right? I put 50% effort, Paramatma puts 50% effort. It's not like. What does this mean? It means that we still have to do our duties, but we shouldn't have the upaya buddhi, that I am the means. Because I did this, therefore I got. That kind of feeling shouldn't be there. Okay? It is only Paramatma's grace that gives the result. Next, Nampavaik. What kind of, there is a special call out of that vratam also. What is this vratam? There is something unique about this vratam. This generally people do vratam, two kinds of vratams in this world. Okay. Divine people do vratams, demoniac people do vratams. Divine people do vratams for some kind of material benefit. Okay. There is some benefit that they want, for that they do. Okay. Health or wealth or fortunes of some description. Right. We find people doing vratams. Another reason demoniac people do vratams is not for their welfare, but for the destruction of others. That is why demoniac people do. Right. For instance, Indrajit, he did a particular yajna because he wanted Lakshmana to fall, Rama to fall. In this way, there are destructive vratams and constructive vratams also. But this particular vratam is neither of them. It doesn't fall in both of those categories. This particular vratam is purely being observed for the pleasure of Paramatma. Right? Therefore, that special call out, Nampavaik, they are not following it so that they can obtain Paramatma. They are following it because Paramatma is pleased by it, right? Therefore, they are following it, right? That is the special qualification of this particular vrata. Why should we attain moksham? We should attain moksham not because we will become happy. In the beginning stages, that is okay. That is how all acharyas teach. You are suffering so much. In moksham, you will get unlimited happiness. Therefore, you should practice, liberation. So that is very appealing to a neophyte, someone who is very beginning, right, in Bhakti Bhanga. But ultimately, why should we get moksha? Who becomes happy when they lose a property, right? If someone loses a property, who will become happy? Will the property become happy or the owner of that property become happy? Someone lost their purse, okay? Someone came and returned that purse. Will the purse become happy or will that owner of that purse become happy? Owner of the purse becomes happy, right? That he got back his property, that particular wallet or something, right? So you may say purse is an insentient thing. We have consciousness. So you may say some happiness I will also experience because I reunited with Paramatma. We don't experience happiness. The feeling we experience is security. We become secure. Think about this, right? If a child is lost in the fair, the child also cries, the parents also cry, right? As soon as the child is found, the child is returned to the parents. It is the parents who experience the most happiness than the child. The happiness that the child experiences is out of security that, Amma, I'm back to my parents. Now they'll take care of me. Right? That is the happiness that the child is experiencing. But the parents, this is my child. It doesn't matter what this child is capable of doing or not capable of doing. This is my child. I'm so happy that my child has come back to me. That's all. But the child's happiness is not that. It's out of security, feelings of security. So who experiences the most happiness? Paramatma experiences the most happiness when Jiva comes back to Paramatma. Okay. So this is the special. That is why this vratam is special, because it's being done for Paramatma's sake, so that we can attain Paramatma. Seyyum kirisaigal. Now we have a list of things we are proposing to do. Right? There is a long list of things that are told here, do's and don'ts. Okay. Why are we doing all these activities? Again, to please God, not because these activities are going to give liberation. Like we discussed yesterday, activities are insentient in nature. Activities by themselves cannot give any fruit, whether a fruit in this world or fruit in Swarga or fruit of Paramapadam. Activities cannot give. It is Paramatma alone who has to be pleased by that observance of that particular act, and he has to give whatever you desire out of that act. Out of that act, if you desire just Swarga, he will give you Swarga. Out of that act, if you just desire happiness, that I gave so much charity to so many people, I want recognition, that recognition he'll give you. If you just think this is for Paramatma's pleasure, I'm giving to Paramatma, this person has come in the form of Paramatma, I'm giving it to him, he will be pleased by it. So what we desire out of it, that's what he will get. He will give to us. Okay. Keliro, he's saying, Andal is saying, listen. Okay. Why should we listen? Why should we listen about the Lord? Because hearing about Lord Hari is pleasurable. Okay. In Mahabharata, it's a discussion between Janamejaya and Vaishampayan. He was asked, among Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshas, all four are discussed in Mahabharata to a great extent, right? It is a very huge scripture of 125,000 slokas, very big, right? Bigger than any Puranam, okay, Mahabharata. So finally he was asked, what was it that he liked the most? Then he replied, Purusharthoyam evaiko yat kathasravanam harehe. Out of all the things that you described, the thing that I like the most in this Mahabharatam is the ultimate Purushartha, which is of the nature of discussing kathasravanam of Hari. This was his answer, right? We discuss about the Lord because that is pleasurable to us, and that is also pleasurable to the Lord. Because the Lord himself said, Bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, he says, devotees of me are those people who constantly keep discussing about me, and they become happy just by discussing about me, right? It is not because we are capable of nobody is capable of describing about Paramatma. Who can describe Paramatma? It's not possible by anybody. But we try our best to discuss about Paramatma because that's what gives him pleasure. It gives him happiness. To whatever extent he empowers us, to that extent we have to discuss glories of Paramatma. Therefore, Andal is saying, Keliro, we are talking about Paramatma, please come and listen. Right? Not because she thinks she's a great teacher that everybody should listen. Right? In other words, we shouldn't feel that way. That when we are talking about Paramatma, we shouldn't feel like any greatness. There's no greatness associated. Whatever Paramatma puts as speech in our mouth, that's what we discuss with others. That's what everybody else should also do. To whatever extent they can experience the glories of Paramatma, glories of Bhagavatas, glories of Acharyas, they have to share with others. That gives pleasure to Acharya, that gives pleasure to Bhagavatas, that gives pleasure to Paramatma. For that sake, we have to do. Okay. Parkadalul Vaiyatthu indra Paraman Adipadi. We gently sing about the lotus feet of the Supreme Being who resides on the Milky Ocean. Why does he reside there? Have you ever thought about it? Why does he come to that Milky Ocean and he reside there? Generally, when there is some kind of construction that is going on, right? What they do is the construction companies, they set up a small camp right there until the entire construction is complete, until everything is over. They have a small office or a small room like thing that is set up there. They all remain there until the entire thing is complete so that everything is overseen. Paramatma set up this entire universal framework for everything to run. So he has to be there for immediate. So he does this call center job. Okay, he has to be there because 24/7 calls will keep coming. Somebody will say in some corner of the universe some problem is coming. So someone will call him. Immediately he has to attend. He cannot say, I'll go and situate myself somewhere in Karya Vaikuntham. Then calls cannot be heard there. Only in Karana Vaikuntham it is accessible to people of this world. So some, Indra may come and some Brahmaji may come, somebody may come and they may say, please Paramatma, there is a problem here, please come and solve, and he has to solve it. Right? For that reason, he makes himself available. Okay? But there is one thing that he does. What does he do? He sleeps very gently. Why does he sleep very gently? He doesn't sleep like us. Once if we sleep, nobody can wake us up. No matter what happens, we will not know. Right? This is not Paramatma's Nidra. Paramatma's Nidra is called Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra means that is the kind of sleep in which he constantly remains ever awake, ever vigilant to the needs of his devotees. He sleeps only in that pose. Sometimes people wonder, does Paramatma even change his hands and sleep on the other side? Does he sleep flat? He doesn't do that because he's afraid that if he changes his pose, in the process of changing his pose, if some devotee calls out in that sound, if he doesn't listen, then he will not be able to address their need. Whatever pose he comes in, that same pose he maintains because he's ever vigilant. Okay, he doesn't even fall asleep because he's afraid that during that time, if he falls asleep, that is pralaya. That's what Vedas say. So he's ever attentive to the needs of his devotees. Who knows? Some Gajendra might call out, right? Who knows? Some Draupadi may call out, who is in trouble. Who knows? Someone like Prahlada may call out. So when such devotees call out, immediately he has to come because Hiranyakashipu, show me your Narayana. Where is he? Is he in this pillar? Then Narayana cannot sleep at that time. Immediately he has to break open that pillar and come out. Right? Similarly, when Gajendra calls out, right, there is nobody else, you are the only source, please come and save me. Immediately he has to run and come. Right? At that time, he cannot say, I'll take my own sweet time. I'm in a meeting right now. Come back tomorrow. These things he cannot say. Right? Like some managers say, okay, I'll give you your salary 1 week later, 10 days later. Don't come right now. In this way, Paramatma he is not that kind of a manager. Right? Paramatma has to immediately attend the needs of his devotees. Right? So therefore, he is ever vigilant. This is his nature. In Jagadrakshana Chintana is something that he constantly keeps doing. Okay. And what is the proof? Someone may ask, what is the proof that he remains awake? Because many people, they remain awake, right? When classes are going on and so on. Sometimes they fall asleep also. What is the proof? Someone may ask, right? Sita Devi is the proof, right? She said in Ramayana, when Kakasura came, she said, Saha Maya Bodhitaha Sriman Sukasuptaha Parantapaha, she said that, Sita Devi did not want to wake Rama up when Kakasura was coming and he was trying to, peck on Sita Devi's breast. At that time, blood was oozing out, but she didn't want to disturb Rama, but she disturbed Rama. But Rama immediately became very violent. He took out a blade of grass and he put Brahmastra on it immediately. Why? Sita Devi said, I shouldn't have done it because although he is Sukasuptaha, that means he sleeps very nicely, but he is Parantapaha. That means immediately he's ever vigilant. If he wants to attack enemies, his sleep is not such that, when somebody is sleeping, some people come and kill them in sleep, right? These kinds of things happen in enemy camps and all these things, right? Even Ashwadhama, he did that, right? When the sons of Draupadi were sleeping in their sleep, he killed all of them. These kinds of things happen. But Paramatma is not like that. He's ever vigilant. So that's what she's saying. That even during sleep, so her words are authentic. So we can definitely trust her because she's saying, even though he sleeps, but she may feel in Vaikuntham that he's sleeping, now I can go and do some cooking in the kitchen. No, he's ever vigilant. So she is very much aware of his situation. So she is saying that. Now, there is something interesting that is told here. Paakadalul Vaiyathu Paraman Adipadi. Instead of singing about the Lord, the emphasis is on the feet of the Lord. Paraman Adipadi. That you have to sing about the feet of the Lord. Why? Because it is the feet of the Lord that are most important. It is the feet of the Lord. That is why, Acharyas have glorified Brahma Kadigina Padamu, right? That feet of the Lord are so wonderful that it is that feet of the Lord that made him come from somewhere in Karya Vaikuntham to Karna Vaikuntham. It is that feet of the Lord that made the Lord come from somewhere in that Vyuhaloka to all the avatars. From there he is descending. To descend, he has to descend on his feet, right? It is those feet that made him come for our sake. So therefore, we should be very grateful, and our first prayers should always be to those feet. Because This is one reason. One reason is it is those feet of the Lord that are responsible for bringing him from that world to this world, right? That is reason one. Reason two is it is the feet of the Lord that remind us that we are his servants and he is our eternal master, right? That is the constant reminder that we need. Why do we need that reminder? Because we keep on thinking that I'm the master of the universe, right? We keep on thinking that I'm very great, right? That I can accomplish everything on my own, right? I'm very independent. There is nobody over me who can control me. I can do whatever I want. Nobody cares, right? I don't have to be accountable to anybody. These are the feelings with which we live all the time. So a constant reminder is needed for us that they are the feet of Paramatma. The feet of Paramatma remind that we are his servants. So it is the feet that we should glorify all the time. Then there we will remember our own true position. So therefore, Andal is saying the first thing that we should do is glorify his feet. The feet of that person who is lying in that Parkadali. That means the meaning of the statement is remember that he came there to protect all of us. And the reason for his coming there is his feet. Therefore, remember those feet and always pray to those feet. So that is the statement that she is saying in this particular line. Neyunom palunom. Here, what she is saying is, we will not consume ghee and we will not consume milk. What is the meaning of this? There are multiple meanings of this. In general, for performing a certain material vratam also, upavasam has to be observed. There's a practice of certain kind of fasting. Certain things have to be fasted from. And the niyamas vary from vratam to vratam, right? Different vratams or different nombus, they have different restrictions, right? Certain things are prohibited, certain things can be permitted. And so even generally non-vegetarians and so on also, when they are performing a certain vratam, the previous night they don't eat non-vegetarian food. That morning they don't eat non-vegetarian food. This way there are certain vratams that are followed. Certain niyamas that are followed. So here Andal is saying, Neyunom palunom. So we will ban ourselves from ghee and milk. These kinds of delicacies. What are these kinds of delicacies? These are the kinds of delicacies that are poshakam for our body. Okay, they give strength to our body, to our different dhatus. So we want to fast. The idea of that fasting is to show to the Lord that I will not put any effort of my own to protect myself. You are my protector. This is what you are indicating by this particular neyunom palunum, right? I will not consume these things means not that I will literally fast. The meaning is that I will not put that effort to protect me all the time. You are my protector. And I fully believe in it that you are my protector, right? The sages of Dandakaranya did this. When Rama came, right, they are capable of protecting themselves from Rakshasas, from Marisha Subhahu, when they were performing sacrifices and so on. They used to throw urine, pus, and sweat and all kinds of things to destroy those yagas. One look at them is sufficient. Any sage, if they look at them once, they'll burn to ashes because they have that power. But they didn't do like that, right? They, in fact, faced so many torments of all these Rakshasas who used to come and attack them. When Rama came, they said, Ehi, Pashya Sharirani, look at our bodies, how they have become. Right? They came and showed to Rama. This is to show to Rama that, Rama, you are the ruler of Ayodhya. You are the person who is the ruler of this place. Our nature is not to protect ourselves. Because that means if we try to protect ourselves, that means you will get a bad name, that you are incapable of doing anything as the ruler. Right? So it is your duty to rule over us and you have to protect us. That's what they are showing. So this is full protection in the Lord, that we are not responsible for our own maintenance, right? This is one meaning. Another meaning is, Neyunom Palunnom means our focus is not only on external body's maintenance. Our focus is also something that should be on the internal soul's maintenance, okay? This is a combination of two things, the body on the outside and the soul on the inside. You know, where there is a very interesting picture that is presented, right, in our Puranas and Itihasas, that there was once a king who got a very beautiful parrot. He put the parrot in a cage. Every day he used to dust that cage very nicely, but he never fed that parrot inside. One day that parrot died. Now, what is the use of that beautiful parrot and the beautiful cage? So we should not just focus on dusting that cage all the time. We should also focus on feeding that parrot inside. But most of the time, we focus entirely on dusting that cage. We try to make sure that our body is fed very nicely, nice nutrition, nice minerals, nice vitamins, and everything. We do everything for the maintenance of the body, but we forget that we are the soul who is the occupant of that body, but not the body itself. We forget this, right? So our focus should also be on feeding the soul. This is another meaning that neyunnom palunnom. We are not just focusing on these two things. We should also focus on nourishing our internal soul, right? Our soul, that is we. Another thing is, nay, if you see ghee is something that is present in the milk itself, right? Ghee is a byproduct of milk. It comes from milk. In the beginning phase, ghee is present inseparable from milk, right? So similarly, Jiva and Prakriti are present inseparable from Paramatma before creation. Right? After creation, they appear to be separate from Paramatma, but they are still always dependent on Paramatma. So what this is saying is that one should never experience Jiva and Prakriti independent of Paramatma. One should always see that connection with Paramatma. Right? Independent of Paramatma, the Jiva should not think I am meant for my enjoyment and Prakriti is meant for my enjoyment. Both I and the Prakriti are meant for Paramatma's enjoyment alone. With this bhavana, we should live. Then that is worth life. That is worth living, right? Otherwise, if we think these are meant for my enjoyment, then we are not doing justice. Natkale Niradi. Natkale Niradi means early in the morning, we should take bath, right? What is this taking bath indicating? These particular gopis, they were taking bath. Why should they take bath? Because taking bath early in the morning is a preparatory task for that vratam, right? Therefore, they are taking bath early in the morning. Similarly, we are trying to attain moksham. We are trying to attain Paramatma. When we are trying to attain Paramatma, can we go in this unclean way that we are? We have to clean ourselves, right? So they are saying, I am making myself ready by cleaning myself and very nicely, right? Early in the morning, that is the first thing I'm doing. I'm cleaning myself, right? So how should we clean ourselves? Yesterday we discussed the way to clean ourselves is always experience Bhagavan's Kalyana Gunas, constantly immersing ourselves in the qualities of the Lord. When we immerse ourselves in the qualities of the Lord, they will automatically purify our soul. That is the cleaning that we have to do. Okay? That is how we should prepare ourselves and be ready for Paramatma to take us whenever he wants to take us. Right? When Rama came to Lanka to take Sita, Sita Devi was asked to take a bath and come. Right? Because there is a certain kind of impurity that's associated with being in Lanka. Right? So therefore she was asked to take a bath, wear fresh clothes, wear fresh ornaments and come for the sake of Rama. So that is a requirement by Rama. Right? Lanka is nothing but this body. As soon as the soul comes into this body, it is full of impurity, right? It's contact with Prakriti that makes the soul impure. Soul by nature is never impure, it is pure. But it is the contact with Prakriti that makes the soul impure. So for the soul to return to Paramatma, he has to purify himself. The way to purify is to take bath in the qualities of the Lord. Okay, that is one meaning, not Kale Nirani. The second thing is, taking bath early in the morning is one example of Nitya Karmas that one should do. Nitya Karmas like Snana, Sandhya, all these things appropriate to one's phase of life, appropriate to one's position in life, one should do. If one is a male, one should perform the duties of a male. If one is a female, one should perform the duties of a female. A husband should do his duty. A father should do his duty. A wife or a son should do their duty. Right? Elders should do their duty. Youngsters should do their duty. Brahmana, Kshatriya, whatever caste they are in, they should do their duties. Humans should do their duties. Animals should do their duties. Devatas should do their duties. Everybody should do the duties that are appropriate for them, based on whichever as time appropriate to them. This is not Kale Niradi, right? That means at an appropriate phase, they have to perform their Nitya karmas, Naimitika karmas, whatever karmas are enjoined by the Shastra for them, they have to do them. Maiyatteludom. Maiyatteludom means we will not apply collyrium to our eyes. What does this mean? This means that we will not, so eye is an indication of jnanam, because the nature of jnana is it makes us see things, the true nature of things. That is what eyes also do. Eyes help us see the true nature of things. Jnana also helps us see the true nature of things. So eyes indicate jnana, right? Collyrium means, collyrium is something that is applied not just for beauty enhancement. It is something that is applied to enhance the vision of the eyes. Okay. So that is the purpose of collyrium. Okay. So what is an enhancement to this jnana? When this jnana is anointed with bhakti for the Lord, then that is what is needed to attain the Lord. So bhakti is that collyrium. What is being told here is that we will not develop that bhakti on our own. That means bhakti, we should understand that bhakti is not something that develops on its own. Paramatma has to give us bhakti. What is this bhakti? Bhakti means Priti Purvam Anudhyanam. That constant thinking about God out of love is called bhakti. We will not develop this on our own means there is no effort we can put to constantly think about God. Okay, He has to bring us to that phase. Okay, in Gita Bhashyam, Ramanujacharya identifies three phases of bhakti: Parabhakti, Parajnana, Paramabhakti. Parabhakti means this is something that comes out of Purva Janma Sukrita, right? One develops a desire to know the Lord as defined in the scriptures, and one tries to know the Lord as defined in the scriptures. This phase is called Parabhakti. Okay? This is also some level of devotion, right? But that devotion is knowing the Lord as defined in the scriptures. This is Parabhakti. Parajnana means one develops a desire to see the Lord and one feels separation from the Lord all the time. One is very much eager to see the Lord and he feels separation from the Lord all the time. This is Parajnana. Second phase of bhakti. Third and ultimate phase of bhakti is Parama Bhakti. This is a longing to completely experience the Lord fully. This is called Parama. So this kind of bhakti is something that we cannot develop on our own. There is a recognition that is required that along the process, when one is practicing this, one should recognize that this is not something that comes on by any amount of our effort. Paramatma has to award it to us when he is satisfied with the kind of activities we are doing, when he is pleased with the duties that we are doing sincerely to the best of our ability, when he is pleased with our performance, he brings us to that phase, right? That karmas mature into jnana, jnana matures into bhakti. That is when we get to see Paramatma. When that kind of devotion is present, then we can see Paramatma in everything at all times. Seeing is not just seeing with jnana. It is actually seeing Paramatma. This is how Prahlada was. He was constantly seeing Paramatma. One moment of not seeing Paramatma, he used to go crazy that I'm not able to see Paramatma. Right? But he didn't do anything to develop that devotion. Okay. Malarittu naam mudiyom. We won't fold the flowers in our hairs. What does this mean? Flower in the hair is a beauty, right? Our soul becomes beautiful when it is decorated with, just like a hair becomes beautiful when it is decorated with flowers, soul becomes beautiful when it is decorated with qualities, right? What this is telling is, Malarittu naam mudiyom. I will not be the person who will decorate those things. That means, again, the teaching that this is Andal is doing to all of us is that we won't put that effort to decorate ourselves. That is something that Paramatma does. He decorates us with qualities. All we have to do is doing our duties at our appropriate time. That's all we have to do. Okay? So these are things, that means we should give up seeing ourselves as the means. This is the key principle. Not seeing ourselves as the means of these things. Okay? Seeing Paramatma as the means. So Upaya Buddhi should be given up. That is, Malarittu naam mudiyom. I am not the one who is doing it. Sayyadana Sayyom. We won't do anything that our Purvacharyas have not done. Okay. It is told in the Shastras that, Dharmagnya Samayaha Pramanam Vedascha. That means when there is a conflict in terms of what is the right conduct to be practiced, then we have to look at the conduct of Dharmagnyas, right? And then we can also refer to the Veda. Dharmagnya Samaya, Pramanam Vedascha. That means Veda is also Pramanam, but Dharmagnyas, the conduct of Dharmagnyas is more important. Conduct of Purvacharyas is more important whenever there is a conflict. So what Andal is saying is, whatever Purvacharyas have done, that is what we will do. What they have not done, we won't do. That means we won't craft our own new path for moksha. Okay? They have already laid out a path. They have done a lot of research. They have studied so many scriptures. Who is an acharya? An acharya is achinoti hi shastrarthan acharya sthapayatyapi swayam acharate yastu sacha acharya iritaha. That is, someone who has fully studied the meanings of the Shastra. He has been able to resolve the meanings of the Shastras. And by his own conduct, he establishes what is the right way to practice dharma. What are things to be done? What are things that are not necessary for moksham? What are things that are absolutely necessary for moksham? Swayam acharate yastu, sacha acharya iritaha. By seeing an acharya, you know that this is the right conduct. Such a person is an acharya. So all we have to do is simply follow our acharyas. We don't have to invent a new path. Sometimes people say that Ramanuja invented the path of bhakti and so on. In English translations, we find these new wonderful statements. But these are statements that give us laugh because nobody invented a path. Ramanujacharya did not invent a path. Shankaracharya did not invent a path. They just clarified the message of the Vedas for a certain audience that they were trying to deal with. Right? Nobody invented new paths. These are all eternal paths that are there. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? What does he say? He says that evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmeva tasmattam purvaihi purvataram kritam. He says that so many mumukshus have practiced this previously. You just follow them. Kuru karmeva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. Just like your predecessors have followed, you also follow that same path. This is what Krishna is saying. So, in terms of conduct, we really don't have to think that, I have to do something new and so on. We don't have to do anything new. Whatever our acharyas have taught, we have to stick to what our acharyas have taught us. That is our means for moksha. That's all. We are doing them for the pleasure of our acharya. We are doing them for the pleasure of Krishna. That's all. We don't have to define new and new activities in our life, right? Our acharyas have already given us what we have to do as part of our day-to-day life. When there is a conflict, we have to approach our acharya and ask us. Because in this world, when we see so many different things, practices, we get confused sometimes. They are doing this, they are doing this. Is that necessary? You go and ask your acharya. That's all. If your acharya says do it, do it. Otherwise, don't do it. It's not necessary. Because you are doing the right thing. By asking your acharya, you are doing the right thing. That is what dharma is. Dharma means you follow what your acharya teaches. If you try to add things on your own, then you don't know. You'll always remain in confusion throughout your life because you'll never have that clarity. You'll always be worried whether I'm doing the right things or not. So we should never do those things. Okay? It's a very simple thing. We just have to follow our acharyas, purvacharyas, right? People who know the Shastra. Tikkaralai Chandrodom. This is another important thing. Tikkaralai Chandrodom means we should always not speak ill about others. This is even more important than speaking good about others. Even if we are unable to speak good about others, if we can avoid speaking bad about others, that itself is a huge good activity. Okay? One should never speak behind others' back. One should never criticize others about their bad qualities and bad things. Sita Devi, the Rakshasa Strees have tortured her so badly. Not once there is a mention of any of those things to Ramachandra. She never did. She could have come and complained, see, you know what, Rama, when they did all these things to me, in this way she can say, but she never did it. Not once. In general, when we have any problem with anybody, it is best to resolve it then and there with them. Go to them, talk to them, say, I have this problem with you, and solve that problem right there. It is the easiest thing to do. When we speak behind the back, when we keep that in our mind, constantly, it becomes a huge problem one day. Then that could turn into a huge trouble because the day we burst out with all those things, that relationship can be destroyed permanently. It is much better to resolve those small things immediately, saying, I have this problem with you. I'm suffering from this. Could you please make sure that this doesn't happen next? Right? The problem is all right there. They may think, yeah, this person has a problem with this. Okay. They may think once or twice, and that's where the problem will get resolved. But in general, when we keep on, regurgitating these things, when we make these small things into big issues by keeping them in our heart. Okay. So we should always try to resolve things then and there. In general, it's not good to talk bad about anybody. When we are always focused on glorifying our acharyas and bhagavatas and all these things, then we will never focus on these bad things. Therefore, Ayyamum Pichayum Andanayum Kaikati. Two kinds of charities have to be given. Ayyamum, Pichayam. So externally, as part of that Margali Vratam, the two charities are, we have to always give to those people who are eligible at a proper place, at a proper time, for a proper patra. Okay, we have to give charities, the right kind of charities within our means. When we say charities, doesn't mean we can infinitely give. Within anybody's means, whatever is the charity within their means, they have to give that charity, right? This they have to do. If they are unable, even if they are able to give, they should always think, I have not been able to sufficiently give, please forgive. Because they always have to be humble. They should never feel that I am superior, therefore I am giving. You are inferior, therefore you are receiving. This kind of feeling should never be there. Okay? Because Paramatma gave you something, you are using it in Paramatma's service. Paramatma came in this form. So can you ever think that you are superior to Paramatma? No. It is Paramatma who has come to you in the form of requesting charity. So one should never feel that, I am giving to someone who is unqualified. Okay? When we give, we should always feel, I am most unqualified. Paramatma has given this opportunity for my purification. This is how we should think when we give a charity. Okay? This is the external meaning. Internal meaning, Ayamam means we have to give the charity of Bhagavat Vaibhavam to others to the best of our capacity. Whatever we know about the Supreme Lord, we should tell others. This is the charity that we should give. Vichayam means we should teach others about Bhagavata Vaibhavam also. The glories of God and the glories of devotees of God. These are two things we have to give to others all the time. And then, despite any amount of saying, naturally, we will never be able to fully glorify the Lord or the Bhagavatas. Right? They have infinite glories. So we should always feel that I do not have the capability to glorify them fully. But to the best of my ability, I'll glorify them. In this way, we have to constantly share the glories of God and Bhagavatas to others. These are the two charities we should give. Uyyumarenri ugandu. In this way, one should contemplate on the means to elevate oneself. This is our vratam. Please participate. So once I will quickly summarize this particular pasuram. So Vaiyatthu virgaal. She is meditating on the fortune of getting a human birth, and among that, the fortune of taking birth among Bhagavatas, among Acharyas, among place where Krishna is present, right? In the hearts of Acharyas, in the hearts of Bhagavatas is where Krishna is present all the time. If someone gets an opportunity to take birth in such circumstances, they are the most fortunate, right? To take birth in such circumstances. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Abhijayate. People who have practiced yoga in their previous lives, they get the opportunity to take birth in this life. If they have not been able to attain moksha, they get an opportunity to take birth in Suchinam Srimatam, in the homes of elevated Bhagavatas, right? And in wealthy people's homes, they get to take birth. Right? Namam Nampavaika Seyum Kirisega. So I am going to narrate to you certain things that I have to follow for performing this vratam. What are they? First thing is, we have to constantly meditate and be thankful to the feet of the Lord and recognize that we are the servants of the Lord eternally. We should not only focus on external nourishment, we should also focus on internal nourishment, right? That is one thing that we have to focus on. Natkale Niradi. In the process of practicing this so-called bhakti or prapatti, we should never think that our nitya karmas are unimportant. We should always do our nitya karmas and be ready and clean ourselves for Paramatma's sake so that Paramatma can take us whenever he wants to take us. Mayattudum. We should always never think that this bhakti is something I can accomplish on my own. We cannot develop. We should wait for Paramatma to decorate us with that bhakti by which he can provide a vision of him to us. Malaritta naam modiyom. In the entire process of practicing, we should never think that I am the means. We should always be conscious that he is the means. Sayyadana Sayyom. We should never do things that our Purvacharyas have not done. We should simply follow the conduct of our Purvacharyas, right? Whatever path they have given us, we should just follow it. Tikkuralai Chandrodam. We should never speak ill about anybody. We should always speak the glories of Paramatma and Bhagavatas. This is the charity that we have to give. And this is the means by which one can uplift oneself. With this, we have sort of concluded the second Pashuram for today. Okay. Thank you so much. Jai Sriman Narayana. Thank you all for joining today. If anybody has any questions, they can ask. Otherwise, we will continue. Andal Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Embermana Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Periyajiyar Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Jai Srimanarayana. Does anybody have any questions? Not, can conclude for today.
Thank you, everyone. Wonderful session. Dasam.
Adiyan Das. Thank you.
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Srimanarayana. Adiyan Das.
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Srimanarayana. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Adiyan. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all for joining. We will conclude for today. Jai Srimanarayana. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami. Wonderful session. Jai Srimanarayana.
Adiyan. Jai Srimanarayana. Thank you.